Hey TechTalk viewers, this is TheChanClan and this is the MSI Gaming X Trio 3090. Holy smokes, was this one hard to get. Fighting the bots at Newegg, I had literally less than a second to get this checked out. Epic fail on the desktop. The only way that I was able to snag this was through Apple Pay in the Newegg app with a one-step checkout. Even the in-stock alerts from now in stock didn't even go off because everything was snatched up at launch day. But this is a launch card, and I've been reading about the debacles about the post-launch overclocking 2 gigahertz limit that has been affecting the 380 cards. So one of the questions is, does it affect the 390? Now, video cards and Igor's lab have kind of troubleshooted that this may be associated with the type of capacitors on the back of the boards here that regulate the voltage. Now, there is different types of capacitors. There is the POSCAP, which is a funny acronym, but no, it doesn't stand for that. But many people are going to say it means that, as well as the MLCC caps. Now, the POSCAPs or the POSCAPs have a little ceramic or cover to them, whereas the MLCC caps look kind of more like a bunch of stitches. So an easy way to tell on the back of the card is just to look, and the promotional pictures show a variety of configurations. This reference board for the 3080 showed either 1 MLCC versus 2 MLCC with 4 POSCAPs. Now, some of the board manufacturers went with 6 POSCAPs, and those ones were thought to have some power regulation issues. And Asus was praised of going from a pre-production card, a reviewer card of 6 POSCAPs down to all 6 being MLCC caps. Well, they've also been delayed in releasing to the market too, maybe appropriately so if everybody's having these problems. Well, the good news is, regardless of whether or not the capacitors are causing power regulation issues, the solution seems to be to undervolt the card by 5% to 95% using MSI's afterburner, and also to decrease the boost clock speed by minus 50 hertz. 50 megahertz. And that seems to keep the crashes from going. This is my unboxing of the video card here, and this is giant, weighs almost 6 pounds. And it is a huge card, and I'll be able to remove my 2080 Ti in a second here as I put it in the case, and you'll just see how enormous this card physically is. Now, immediately, even looking through this bag, you'll notice this has 4 POSCAPs and 2 MLCC capacitors here. So this is like the reference design of the Founders Edition. So hopefully this avoids some of the problems that have plagued the 3080 Gaming X Trio, which did use an additional POSCAP, making 5. Now, some people say, I think Video Card said these aren't even POSCAPs, these are SP caps. Regardless, there's this is like caps gate of the 30 series launch. We don't even know if this has anything to do with actually the capacitors, or whether or not this is a voltage issue, power supply issue, as these graphics cards have been monsters at power draws, and they dropped almost 400 watts under load in your system. So I do have a 1,000 watt PSU to support this GPU, and we're going to keep it at that. So this is the unboxing, no frills, basically a support bracket that MSI had for its prior generation, just because this thing's so heavy it can sag. Looks like there's some sticky bits of stuff. I'll have to look up what that is. It's in a bag. And then again, the graphics card is the majority of this thing, which is huge. There's a little welcome folder. I think they usually have some stickers or some paraphernalia in here, although this thing was probably launched so quickly that wow, this is kind of bizarre. How to upgrade your PC with a new graphics card. There's a animated or a cartoon, a comic strip, if you will. This does take 3 8-pin voltage cords from your PSU So it doesn't have the 12 that was there. MSI Afterburner, packaged contents. This seems pretty generic. Made for gamers, installation guide, and card bracket. I guess that's helpful. Oh, you know what? I bet you that card bracket, little soft foam stuff was for the card bracket, not to bounce around too much. And then a thank you note. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get this unpackaged, and I'll compare the graphics card to the existing 2080 Ti that I pull out from the system, and we'll be able to take a look at these side by side as we get them into the system and up and running. Okay, here are the MSI Gaming X Trio 2080 Ti and the 3090 compared side by side. So actually, you know, despite this being a huge card, it actually is about the same length as the 2080 Ti. So this is not necessarily bigger. It is heavier by far, and this thing seems to be more bulky. There's the fans. These are the 4.0 version fans. And one thing I liked about the Gaming X Trio is that it's designed to be silent. One of the things that drives me crazy ever since I bought an AMD card, okay, granted, that was my only mistake ever buying things, was the AMD card back in the day was just like it was like a hair dryer. It blew all the time. It was so noisy. I vowed I'd never get a card like that again. So, you know, the rest of my last decades of building computers, I've always looked for the best performing graphics card with a minimal sound profile. So this has the Torx 4.0 fan system. One thing I did like about MSI's builds was that they prioritize sound over performance, I mean with performance. So they're trying to look for a balance here. So you can see the 3090 has 3 symmetric 4.0 fans, and oftentimes these have funny stickers on them. We'll have to see if they have funny stickers. I'm gonna rest that up here. And this is the 2080 Ti that I just pulled out. It's still a little warm. And this one was the ugly duckling that had the little weird mini fan there. But for what it was worth, this thing was rather quiet. One notable thing that I didn't like was that this one used to have a USB, did have a USB-C, and they opted not to provide that in the 3090. So you can see here's the 3090 with its 3 8-pin power supply. There is the MLCC capacitors there in a 4:2 distribution. And then looking at the end of the card here, you'll notice they are all little, there's HDMI, but these are all display ports. So 3 display ports. So I guess that's just reflecting the trend that really Thunderbolt and USB displays didn't take off as much as they thought they were going to. Let's take this cover off for the PCI cover. This is a PCIe 4.0 card. This down here is the Z490. This has a 10900K Intel processor on here. So you can see my Tai Chi motherboard. It does support future Comet Lake PCIe 4 support, has kind of the chips for that. But as of right now, this is still PCIe 3.0. So let's try to see how this behemoth sticks into here. There is another bracket to support its weight. Part of the spec for this PCIe 4.0 is making sure that these are reinforced metal PCIe slots, just because there's a lot of weight resting on this thing. And yeah, you'll notice that without that bracket, the whole thing just sags. Okay, so this is going to be a two-handed approach here. So I'm going to just get this installed, and we'll resume this video once I can stabilize this giant 6-pound video card onto its onto the case here. Okay, was able to mount that on. This bracket is super extra duty, heavy duty, if you will. There's actually a lip that goes all the way up to the second screw of the 2 slots here, and it goes all the way here, supporting this hefty beast, just because there's 6 pounds of weight on that. 3 connectors. Moment of truth, we're gonna boot this up. Let's see it glow a little bit here. Oh wait, can't. Gotta get that PSU on, right? We have its RGB color lighting scheme here, matching our Tai Chi. So far, we're booting up okay. Running pretty silent. Let's take a look at these fans down here, if we can see them. And the fans, they're spinning. You can see them spinning down here, but they are rather quiet. This is also in a be quiet. Let's see, there we go. We have 1, 2, I don't know if you can see the 3rd one. Dark Base, what's this, Pro 900 Rev 2, I believe. That's our case. So, you know, I like it pretty quiet. Well, let's kind of put this into action and see what we can see on the screen and whether or not we can cause this to crash, or if this crashes when going up to 2 gigahertz. Okay, folks, we have set up MSI Afterburner, and you can see that our boost clock here does get toward 2000. It actually will have a log of what we're running at. We have the Riva Tuner Statistics server, and we are running the atomic clock video. So I'm going to actually switch over to screen capture here, and we'll take a look at what's going on. Okay, we're also recording this on the screen capture, so we're actually going to run the video straight from the PC, but we're going to do this at 1440p, and we're running this with standard configuration. Here you can see that we're getting about 120 plus frames per second here, 52 average. This is a RTX DLSS demo, so it's more like just a general benchmark, and what we're trying to do is really just stress test the card, take a look at its clock profiles, and just see how it does under load. I've actually noticed that a lot of my games are not updated that do have RTX, just updated Battlefield 5. Battlefield 5 really doesn't have a tech demo, so I'm just running around randomly. It looks like CryEngine has a tech demo, something Noir, that's downloading right now. And we also have Call of Duty, but that doesn't have a tech demo, so no benchmark, if you will, so that's also just running around. So far, you know, I'm not going to belabor the point here of benchmarking everything else. You'll see plenty of retail and commercial reviewers all over the place that have benchmarked exhaustively. What we're trying to do right now is just demonstrate some live statistics, stress out the card, see if we have any spontaneous crashes based off of the frequency and the default settings. These are the latest drivers, so the latest drivers just came out today. Today's September 28th, 2020. So that may have affected things, as well as there are some reports that we are not seeing as many crashes anymore. So the fact that we have less crashes on the new drivers may suggest that Nvidia has mitigated some of those crashes by limiting or adjusting how the boost frequency is managed, if you will. Although some would argue that that's controlled at the level of the video BIOS, but I don't know. Nvidia probably has its switches and tools that through driver and software may be able to reduce some of the erratic power consumption and crashes that people have been seeing. So these are cool lighting effects as we take a look at some of the tech demo here. And I think this ends up just looping. So I don't know if this looks familiar. Yeah, this looks familiar, so I think it's just looping now. So what we'll do is try to grab a different demo, do the same, and just stress this out. No crashes, average, 96 average frames per second. This is 1440p, 169 max, 120 currently, and pretty awesome here. So one thing you'll notice that we just finished that atomic heart demo. This is our temperature curve as we ran it. So it looks like on my system here, this reached a peak of 82, and I think the boost targets a temperature of 80. Ambient temperature is in the 40s, and then the recovery here has dropped us already down to 62 after that tech demo has run. Other things here, GPU usage percentage. We have, what's interesting is the GPU clock, right? Here we go. So GPU clock, here we go. I think this is a boost clock. Yep, there we go. So boost clock is max at 2010, and it looks like the boost with these drivers and this card didn't exceed 1965 there. No crashes, so it kind of stayed within its spec. We are at 100% power and not overclocked in this setting. So we're not, it's just on factory overclock, or yeah, factory overclock. We are not pushing any dynamic or custom overclock here. Just trying out the vanilla or baseline settings here to make sure that things are not crashing. Oh gosh, these little pop-ups are annoying. All right, let's move to a different tech demo and we can see our temperature and performance curves. Okay, so this is the Noir Crytech Raytracing Benchmark. So this was released at the end of last year. We're setting this to 4K resolution at ultra. Full screen, we'll loop this. Let's go ahead and start the benchmark here and see how this one does, and we'll compare our boost metrics, our heat, and see if this crashes. We're just going to test out the 3090 as it gets started here. We're switching over to in-game capture as far as the video goes. Looks pretty smooth. All right, looks like we have a drone flying around here. A lot of reflections. Our current frame rates are in the 60s, average about 57, max 84. A lot of reflections. Nice ray tracing effects here. Look at that. All those fragmented mirror reflections, water reflecting. Rain effects, glow, kind of global illumination. A lot of bounced lights. Again, reflected panels. It's pretty cool. Shell casings. Okay, we're flying through. Looks like our current frame rate's still in the 60s to 70s. And my monitor just went to sleep. Still flying around. No crashes. All right, so we're on loop now. See this part again. So 60 frames per second at 4K Ultra with all the ray tracing on. Stop this and check out our performance log on MSI Afterburner. Okay, so after the second tech demo here, Neon Noir, this is our performance curve again. Looks like we're looking at, oh gosh, this little window is tiny. I think it shrunk. Wish this widget was bigger here. But let's go up to, that's our memory clock. Here's our boost again. So boost was in the 1900s, 1800, 1900s. And it didn't look like any of this exceeded 2000. Now obviously, you know, we could try to overclock this and try to push the boundary and get into the 2000 range and probably end up with a couple more frames per second, but then start getting spontaneous crashes. So frankly, I am satisfied. You know, what I'll end up doing is just stressing this out as I play some of the titles, just to see if the stock clocks, which is the factory overclock, will keep the performance from crashing. But I think this, you know, is reassuring that there's no overt as clocked crashes happening, at least in my system and on this card. I'll definitely update this review and demonstration should that happen. But so far, this is probably one of the first in-hand user experience with the MSI Gaming X Trio 3090. So this just goes to show that at least it is as specced, and this is a beast of a card. It's gonna be hard to get one. Has a really silent profile despite all that playing. Really didn't hear any of fan noises, which is what I was looking for. All right, this is the Chan Clan with a preliminary evaluation of the MSI Gaming X Trio RTX 3090. Happy to report that it has 2 MLCC caps, and as far as using today's drivers with the September 28th release, no crashes out of the box. Subscribe to our videos, like them, and we'll see you next time on the Chan Clan's Tech Talk. Thanks for watching.